Usually there's like an Anita cocktail or a Stephanda Cox, or every town has one of those. There's never another Heklina anywhere.
Hey legends, Gloria Hole here from Queen Central, where we honor the icons who've paved the way with sequins, sweat, and unapologetic truth. Today we're diving into the life of a titan, Heklina, a name that shook stages, defied norms, and left a legacy as bold as her eyeliner. Drag is a revolution, a battle fought in heels, sequins, and sharp wit, and few embodied that spirit like Heklina, an icon, a mentor, a disruptor. Her name echoed in clubs soaked with glitter and resistance. But it was not just the outrageous looks or biting comedy. It was her audacity to exist loudly in a world that tried to silence her. Behind the towering wigs and laughter was a story of resilience, identity, and a tragic ending that left the drag world breathless. This is the tale of a volcano in human form and how her fire still burns. Heklina, a legacy cast in glitter. The roots of a queen. Before the sequins, she was Stefan Grigelko. Born in 1967 in Minnesota, his childhood was quiet, a boy simmering with unspoken truths. Queerness was not pride then, it was a shadow, but Stefan felt the rumble beneath the surface. From his Icelandic roots, he claimed a name as fierce as the fire within, Heklina. After the volatile volcano, Hekla, San Francisco became his eruption.
Hekla is a volcano in Iceland, and so when I moved to San Francisco, I was like, I was performing for the first time in drag, and I was like, I need a name, Heklina. Literally 5 seconds, I thought of this name, and it's stuck ever since.
Here in the 90s queer underground, Stefan died, and Heklina roared to life. This was not RuPaul's Drag Race. This was drag baptized in punk rock and cheap vodka. And Heklina, she was the anarchist priestess. Becoming Heklina revolutionizing drag.
Heklina, ladies and gentlemen.
There's time for me now after all this? Okay, well, thank you so much. No, I got my start in a very organic way by hosting Tranny Shack, and I guess what I did, unbeknownst to me, was improv for all those years.
The 90s San Francisco drag scene was not about rhinestones or redemption arcs. It was a war. And Heklina, she was its general. In 1996, she launched Tranny Shack, a name designed to shock, to provoke, to dismantle. This was not a drag for the faint of heart. It was drag as survival. Tranny Shack was not just a stage. It was a school. As crowds grew, Heklina realized rebellion without guidance burns out. So, every Tuesday night, Heklina turned a grimy club into a sanctuary for the freaks, the outcasts, the queens who had been told they were too much. No rules, no judges, just chaos. Bearded queens lip-syncing to death metal. Bio queens drenched in fake blood. Performers tearing off wigs mid-routine to reveal duct-taped bald caps. It was messy, political, and gloriously alive. Heklina did not just host the show, she weaponized it. Tranny Shack mocked beauty standards, spat on respectability, and dared audiences to look away. Spoiler, they couldn't. For queer kids exiled from their families, this was church. And Heklina, the high priestess who preached one gospel, your weirdness is holy. She handed mics to the voiceless, stages to the invisible, and turned drag into a middle finger aimed straight at the status quo. The crown never fades. Heklina didn't need reality TV to cement her legacy. She had something better. Peaches Christ, her creative partner in crime. Together, they became the Bonnie and Clyde of camp. Their stage parodies were masterclasses in queer satire. Imagine the sound of music. If Maria von Trapp were a meth-addicted nun, or Showgirls reimagined as a dystopian ballet starring zombified showgirls, audiences didn't just watch, they surrendered. But Heklina's crown was not forged in theaters alone. She mentored baby queens in dive bars, teaching them to sew hems with dental floss and heckle bigots with surgical precision. While drag went mainstream, she stayed in the trenches, fighting for the soul of the art form. She had survived the AIDS crisis, gentrification, and the corporate co-opting of pride. Every loss sharpened her edge. Every battle left her louder. And though the world moved on, chasing shiny new stars, Heklina never wavered. Her drag was not a product. It was a protest. A reminder that before drag was trendy, it was terrifying. And she would be damned if she let anyone forget it. The shocking end. April 3rd, 2023. A date carved into drag history like a scar. Heklina was in London, ready to reunite with Peaches Christ for a show that would never happen. Hours before curtain call, in a quiet hotel room, the world lost a queen. No warning, no grand exit, just silence. She was 55. Peaches Christ's grief erupted online. I am a wreck. My beloved Heklina is gone. The drag community froze. Tributes flooded in. Photos of her snarling on stage, mentoring wide-eyed queens, laughing mid-swig of whiskey. But the questions lingered. How? Why? No answers, only whispers. A heart attack? Exhaustion? The cost of decades spent fighting, performing, mothering a generation? Death doesn't care about legacy. It steals even the brightest flames mid-burn. And Heklina? She was a supernova. Mourning a legend. Grief hit like a wrecking ball. Clubs she'd christened dimmed their lights. Queens painted their faces black. Social media became a digital shrine. Icon, mother, revolutionary, repeated like a prayer. But Heklina's legacy wasn't in hashtags. It was in the queer teen who found courage at Tranny Shack. The drag king she handed a mic to at 2 a.m. The stages she built with spit and spite. She'd survived plagues and prejudice, only to vanish before her final bow. Yet in her absence, the stories roared louder. How she'd heckled hecklers with lethal wit. How she'd slipped $20 to a struggling queen, muttering, "Buy better glue, darling." The mainstream barely blinked. No headlines, no tributes on late-night TV. But in the underground, her name became a battle cry. To be messy, to be loud, to live like the world owes you joy. A legacy that erupts like a volcano. Heklina didn't leave quietly. She left like a volcano, scorching the earth, reshaping the landscape. Her legacy? It's in every drag queen who rips up the rulebook. Every queer kid who chooses weird over wanted. She was not just a performer. She was an architect, a blueprint for rebellion. Tranny Shack was not a club. It was a manifesto. A declaration that drag isn't about passing, pleasing, or polishing. It's about power. The power to turn trauma into art, shame into sequins, silence into a goddamn symphony. Mainstream drag sparkles. Heklina's drag burned, and that fire still rages. In the punk queens smashing gender norms, the bio queen mocking beauty standards, the elder teaching new rebels to sow rage into every stitch. Her death was not an end. It was a detonation, a reminder that drag is dangerous, that it must stay dangerous. Because the moment it becomes safe, palatable, polite, that's when the revolution dies. Before we sashay away, let's leave you with this. Rest in power, reign in glitter. Heklina's eternal stage. Heklina's heels may stand empty, but her footprints are everywhere. In every club that champions the weirdos, every queen who refuses to shrink, every nobody who becomes somebody under a spotlight they've earned. She didn't just wear crowns, she forged them. For herself, for you, for all of us. So tonight, raise a cheap cocktail to the queen who taught us to fight in glitter and laugh through the pain. To the mother, the menace, the myth. Rest in power, Heklina. The stage is yours forever. If Heklina's story moved you, scream her name in the comments. Share this video and subscribe to keep these legends alive, because history is not written, it's dragged into the light.